Hello, and thanks for tuning in. I'm Holly Shields for Kalkine TV, welcoming you all to another edition of Executive Corner Expert Talks. Now, motorsports is a passion for thousands, perhaps millions of people worldwide, and one company has been capitalizing on it as a tourism venture, offering some incredible experiences. Grand Prix Grand Tours has grown to become the premier provider of motorsport travel packages with over 50 different experiences in more than 20 countries, so all around the globe. Here to take us through it all is Simon Maudsley, the director of Grand Prix Grand Tours. Welcome to the show, Simon. It's great to have you on.
Thanks. Nice to be here.
Thanks for joining us. Now, first of all, what would you say it is about your Formula One and MotoGP tour packages that really appeal to motorsport fans?
I'm not convinced that we necessarily do anything very, very special. We don't do anything that I think you probably couldn't do yourself. But I think the gap we fill is that more often than not, you want to go to a Grand Prix, you want to go to the Belgian Grand Prix, for example. You've got a rough idea where the nearest city is, but you really have no idea where to get the tickets from. What is the best hotel to stay in? What is a good value hotel to stay in? There are quite a lot of logistics going on a Grand Prix weekend. So a typical package of ours includes a flight typically from British airports, because that's where most of our clients are based, transfers to and from the airport, transfers to and from the circuit, the correct tickets, to suit your budget and suit your needs, and a hotel that does the job as well. I think where we make a difference is because we're enthusiasts. It doesn't necessarily follow that every single person wanting to go to a Grand Prix also knows that, by way of example, Eau Rouge is the best place to sit at the Belgian Grand Prix, or Portier is the best place to sit at the Monaco Grand Prix. So they do come to us often for a little bit of guidance. So we add value there. I think also because we have bulk buying power, we are able to negotiate some fairly good discounts at hotels, which means that you could come to us and you might spend 5% more, or you might spend 5% less, or you could do it yourself and have all the hassle that goes with it, and pay effectively the same amount of money. So in terms of what we offer, why you would come to us, what we offer the motorsport fan, I guess the question is, do you want your weekend to be a logistical headache where you ultimately have to make the decisions around everything? Or do you want to pick up the phone, somebody like me, or some people like our sales team, and say, look, help me out here. I'm desperate to go to blah, 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 Australian Grand Prix, for example. What do you need from me? Can you answer some questions? And because we're experts in travel, we like to think we're experts in, motorsport. I don't think anyone here is as expert as, Lewis Hamilton or anything, but we have a pretty good idea where those guests should be going. And, a lot of our customers are also, husbands and wives buying birthday presents or anniversary presents for their better halves who are super keen on motorsport, and they don't necessarily know where they should be going, what they should be doing, et cetera, et cetera. So we're able to add a bit of guidance there as well. And I think that is a gap we fill quite nicely, because we take all the hassle out of a weekend or a holiday for somebody. And additionally, you're getting good value for money. You're getting a lot for you're getting a lot of service for the weekend spend. So that, in a nutshell, I think should hopefully answer the question.
Yeah, I mean, that's great too. It sounds like that expertise really comes in handy, especially with those little tips and advice that I'm sure your customers ask for.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we do get. We had a customer the other day who said, they were desperate to go to the Italian Grand Prix, and, can I get general access tickets? And I have sat at the Italian Grand Prix, or stood at the Italian Grand Prix in the general access area, and I tend to say, okay, look, you could save money doing it that way, but in reality, you're not going to enjoy yourself. So save your pennies, spend a little bit more, and you're going to get a lot better experience from it. So again, I think a small example of where we would add value there.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Obviously, the logistics as well play into it, and you're saving that big headache of planning things, which we all know can be really difficult and can take actually away from the experience. It can detract from it.
Completely. I mean, there are some events Again, Monaco Grand Prix is a very good example of the Dutch Grand Prix. It really is only 20, 30 minutes on the train, straight from the nearest city, which Monaco is Nice, straight to the circuit. Very straightforward. But if you're going to the Austrian Grand Prix, the Red Bull Ring is just outside a city, or a town rather, called Spielberg. You can't really fly into Spielberg. The nearest place you're going to get to is Vienna. So what do you do if you're trying to organize that yourself? Very, very difficult to do. And you therefore have a choice. Do I fly into Vienna and spend a fortune on a taxi to get to the Red Bull Ring, or do I hire a car? Or you could stay in Vienna in one of our hotels, and we will arrange group transfers to and from the circuit each day. So from that perspective, I think I think there's a huge amount of headache removed. And if I think back to the times when it's probably a terrible example, but whenever I've organized a stag do, and you've got 15 or 20 guys trying to agree on where we should stay, what activities we should do, what time we should or shouldn't go to the pub, what time we should have dinner, or whatever it might be. It's a total nightmare because everyone's got competing views. I think what we do as well is, because we have set packages, and we say, look, it's this hotel and this grandstand, your transfers will arrive at this time. If you're not on them, you're walking. That kind of takes a lot of the decision making out of it for the guests. And it sounds a little bit like we're applying fairly stringent rules to our guests, but that's not the case at all. We're just taking the decision making away from you, handing it over to us. And the ability to just turn off your brain for a weekend is quite a nice thing. I look forward to it at some point when I'm not doing it on behalf of our guests.
It sounds excellent. Like you're really taking the chaos out of it, all of it as well, I should say. So.
Yeah, completely. Like I said, some events are very straightforward. The overwhelming majority are not. How do I get there? Where do I park? How do I get back? Oddly enough, we were at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix back in December, and we decided to try and find a restaurant rather than jumping on our own coach transfers. Decided to try and find a restaurant, get a bite to eat after the race, and then just jump in a cab. It's not possible. You look around for a cab outside the Yas Marina circuit. Good luck. And I think also they're not allowed to stop there. So, okay, yes, in theory you could do yourself, but in reality it starts right. Getting awfully difficult. So yes. So in answer, I probably should have probably taken my own advice rather than trying to wing it. But we always know best, don't we?
Right, definitely. And obviously, you must have seen quite a bit of demand, over the past years, despite the pandemic. How has that been for you?
We started the company 4.5-5 years ago. We, I think, tinkered around with the product set to understand what sold and what didn't. Our original product was slightly different. It was a driving tool rather than the standard, a slightly more vanilla Grand Prix package. I think we hit upon the Grand Prix package being the product that had the demand, and we began pushing that probably 6 or 9 months before the pandemic hit. And then the pandemic hit, and overnight all the business just completely disappeared. There was absolutely nothing. I think we're in a lucky position from two perspectives. First, because all the flights were cancelled and because all the races were cancelled, largely we were refunded, which meant we were able to fulfill our legal duties to our guests. We were able to refund all our guests within a very short space of time. Most of those guests we've retained and have booked on additional trips. The following year, which would have been last year, 2021, again, was very difficult, but we managed to get 6 events under our belt. And I think we averaged 40 guests at each event, a very, very small numbers, but it managed to keep the light, it managed to pay the bills, it managed to keep the lights on. So it was a massive shock, and it was a massive downturn. It affected our business very badly. While this was all going on, I did keep reminding myself that despite the fact it was incredibly frustrating, we weren't paying for, we weren't paying for a shop on the high street. We weren't, we didn't have a big glitzy, premises with, 4-meter high floor to ceiling windows and dozens of stuff. We didn't have that, and we were very, very lucky. And it did remind us that, the overwhelming majority of businesses are set up by starter owner directors, and the stress and the pain and the commitment and the risk that goes into getting a business off the ground is very difficult to calculate. Most people don't appreciate just how much that is. So I felt incredibly sorry for a lot of the people that found themselves in a far worse position than we did, because it was straightforward for us. And we refunded all our guests, we turned down the advertising, we put our sales staff on furlough, we started working from home, and in fact we both took, my co-director and I, we both took other jobs because there was no money in travel. Then 2021 came, things started to look a little bit rosier, and things began to get back on their feet. But I think, answering your original question, which was how things affected going forward, it has really taken off. And in the last 3 months, we've done probably double the revenue we did in 2020 and 2021 combined. And that's fantastic. That's one of those nice problems to have. They're the problems you kind of dream about having. However, when you're in the thick of it, you're like, how the hell am I going to deal with this problem? And the problem we have at the moment is currently coping with the demand. We still don't have our office premises back. We still have one member of staff on furlough. So in the process of recruiting people back into the business, again, without overextending ourselves, because what happens if there's another wave? We don't quite know. And, in addition to that, there are personal constraints as well. My director and I both have wives and families, and our own responsibilities, and we have to meet them. So I think the next 6, 9, 12 months is looking very positive. I don't think the world is back to normal. It's still, there are still many economic problems going on, but I think we're in a far better place than we were 6, 9, 12 months ago. So yes, we're optimistic, but we are tempering our enthusiasm, because I think we're all too aware just how much hard work is around the corner, down the road, whatever you want to refer to it as.
Right. Well, it's great to hear that things are really picking up for you there, and those figures you mentioned are incredible, I must say. Sounds like you've had a lot of demand just this year alone, and late last year, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think everything began to turn around once. I'm no epidemiologist, but I think we can probably all agree that the Omicron variant has proved not quite as problematic as perhaps people thought it may have done, or previous waves. And I think governments are increasingly looking at the situation with a cost-benefit balance in mind as well. And I think what goes with that is an expectation that I believe that the coronavirus is here with us to stay. We must move on with our lives, because we can't stay indoors forever. And I think when our guests and people in general begin to realize, appreciate, understand, whatever the word is, that life is beginning to return to normal, what comes with that is a bit more confidence about planning for the future, and a desire to get out. No one's been on holiday for 2 years, so it's been, everyone needs a bit of sun, especially those of us based in the UK, where there's never any sun, and it's always grey, and it's always raining. It's not that bad.
Well, it sounds like there's definitely a lot to look forward to. Are there any particular motorsporting events that we can keep our eye on for this year?
I always say look to the Middle East. They put on a fantastic show. They really do. I had not been to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix before, I've been to most of the European events and grew up around motorsports, so quite familiar with that side of things, but I'd never been to the Middle East. I've always loved going to Dubai, and I've been on holiday plenty of times, and Abu Dhabi the same. But I don't think I quite appreciated the level of professionalism, the value for money, the quality of both the facilities, the motorsport facilities, and the hotels nearby Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and it was just the most fantastic experience. And I think, why do we look forward to that this year? Well, I think as the Middle East tries to what's the word? Differentiate, it's probably the wrong word, but change their economy from a less of a reliance on oil production and export to more of a tourism-based economy. Those economies have suffered, and so why is this a good thing for us as tourists? Well, if you look at the cost of flights to Dubai and Abu Dhabi at the moment for next year's race, they're less expensive than flights currently from the UK to Budapest or from the UK to the south of France. They offer incredible value for money. Why that is, I don't know. I suspect that the likes of Emirates and Etihad Airlines are potentially running at discounts to bring tourists into the country, because they are state-backed airlines, and that represents a fantastic opportunity for us. We operate, or for our guests rather, we operate a bronze, silver, and a gold package for each race, and hopefully that is what it says in the tin. The gold is the more luxury, the bronze is the more entry-level package. For a mid-level European package, you can for basically the same price, you can have an entry-level package for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and the entry level is fantastic level. It will be 5-star hotel, it will be return flights from Etihad, it will be the race from Yas Marina, all of which are just a level of quality so far and above what you get in the more traditional events in Europe and the Americas. So I think the Middle Eastern events are definitely events to keep an eye on. Additionally, we will have so this year we'll have 3 events. We'll have Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, which is the first race of the season in March, and of course Abu Dhabi at the end of the year. Next year we're going to be adding Doha to that list as well. So I think anybody looking for a bit of winter sun has got a veritable smorgasbord of Formula One events to go to. And I haven't even touched on the MotoGP. That there's going to be events there as well. So I think going forward, these weekends away are going to be more than weekends away. If you're going that far, make the most of it. Spend a week, take in some sun, take the kids, take the family, book through us.
Very well said there. Thanks for that. It's great. Looks like everything's looking great for the Middle East and their events that they've got coming up. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that. Lots of motorsports action over there in the coming year, and I think next year as well. Did you mention there was an event in Doha?
Correct. So we've got they did have a race there last year, but it was more so to fill in the gaps of I don't remember which race had been cancelled. Maybe it was Singapore. But yeah, so we have Doha coming up as well. Again, Doha, not a place I know. I stopped off there once on the way to Thailand on holiday with my wife a few years ago. To be honest, we didn't see a great deal beyond jumping in a cab and taking us out for a meal. But again, it looks like the majority of these these modern Middle Eastern cities, very contemporary. Everything is very shiny, very new, very well thought out, and incredibly high quality. And they just offer such value for holiday makers, perhaps versus more traditional events.
Well, that's incredible. It's definitely something we will keep our eyes on, and definitely something to look forward to there, not only for motorsports fans, but maybe for anyone else interested in the events coming up. That'll be a great thing. But apart from that, it's been great to hear insight today, Simon. Thanks very much for joining the show.
Thanks. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure to have you on. And thanks for your time as well, viewers. Stay tuned for more updates. As we say here, stay apprised and invest wise with Kalkine.